Welcome to Basic Navigation for your iLife Infinity app. This video instruction is provided by Quantum Life. I am Brenda Judah and I will be your instructor. I am co-owner and founder of Integrity Biofeedback Academy, and we are very pleased to have you join us. For this training, I am using an Apple device. However, the Android is very similar in technical use, and you will find that the fundamentals will be the same. There are some slight variations, but fundamentally it will be the same. This course has been designed to help you quickly learn to navigate your new iLife Infinity app. It is not a course in quantum physics, nor is it a course in biofeedback or energy medicine. It is solely presented to help you efficiently use your device for excellent results. Quantum Life and all of our educational staff stand ready to create an exceptional environment to meet your specific needs, whether you are a first-time user of the iLife Infinity or a licensed practitioner who is using the iLife Infinity app in your practice. So we welcome you aboard today. Now, let's get started. Before opening your iLife Infinity app, I would suggest that you change your auto lock settings, and we're going to do that by tapping on Settings, tapping General, scrolling down until you see Auto Lock, and we're just going to click on that right now. As you can see, there are several options. Today we have chosen Never, and I would recommend that you do that when you are doing a session with yourself or with a client. That way your screen will never go dark. Go back to General, tap back, and now we are ready to move forward. To make sure that all other apps on your device are closed and not suspended in the background, what we're going to ask you to do is double-click your home button, which is right here, and you will see all of the different apps that are currently suspended in the background. Let's go ahead and take our finger and just swipe them off the screen, just like that. Now you can see we are back to our main screen. If you have a device that is older than the iPad 4, when you double-click your home button, you will see a grouping of apps, as you're seeing here, that are open on your device. You'll just hold your finger on it, it will begin to jiggle, and up here in the corner you will see a little red circle with a minus. Go ahead and tap that, and it will close all of the suspended apps in the background. This is very important that you do that. It creates what I feel is a clean session for your client, and it also helps to save your battery. So that is very important. Okay, let's move forward. We're going to look for our Infinity app, and here it is right up here in this upper right-hand corner. Just tap it, and up it comes. As you can see, this is the entrance page, Quantum iLife Infinity, Quantum Wellness. You are going to tap anywhere on that screen, and it will take you to Client Records. On the Client Records screen, this is where you're going to put in the demographics of your client, and those are things like their first name, their last name, the date of birth. You're going to put in the identifying stress characteristics. So in other words, you can see here it says hair loss, digestive, etc., etc. This is not a wordy area. In other words, I don't want people writing a book here. We don't want you putting in long sentences. What we want it to be is very concise and very precise about the stress that the person is experiencing right now. If they have illness, you might want to just say illness or health-related illness, something like that. Again, you don't want a long description in here. You just want to know what are some of the characteristics of the initial stress that the person is actually experiencing in their life right now. What happens is that energy is held through hololinguistics, which means the actual vibration of the words, and it is actually held in the computer, and as the computer scans, or as your Infinity app will scan through different profiles, it holds that information, and so it helps us to actually identify certain areas in your body that may be out of balance because of stress patterns. So it's a very important area. You would, every single time you work with your client, you will make sure that you are updating these identifying stress characteristics. So in other words, if you're meeting with somebody and after 3 or 4 times the digestive issues are gone and the hair loss is much better, move on to another stress that the client might be experiencing. Update this characteristic panel every single time that you work with somebody. And if the stress is the same, that's fine. You can leave it there. But if it's not, please update it. You can see here we have analyzing the client image. This is very important. This is where you're going to either take a picture of your client or you're actually going to take a picture that has been emailed to you of your client. The reason that we like the picture is because the system then can actually pick up different vibrations from the actual picture. And these are vibrations that are in the energy field of the person or the client. The picture is something that you will change each and every time as your energy changes each and every time. So that is also a very important part of your iLife Infinity app, and the ability for the app to make a nice connection with the client. Then we see that we have spectral voice analysis. Voice analysis has been used for many, many decades in the field of medicine, Western medicine. And today at MIT, there are people that are actually using voice analysis to diagnose certain neurological diseases and disorders. What we're using it for is we are looking, or the system is actually looking at the algorithms of the voice, and it is measuring those different algorithms or patterns in the voice, and that helps, again, to help the system to define and focus on areas that are having stress impact. So this is your client record screen. This is where your demographics grow. And again, you are going to check each time with the client about the characteristics. You're going to take a new picture each time, and you're going to take a new voice analysis. The picture is, of course, very important. The voice analysis, if you're working with someone at distance, you could record their voice using the telephone and just putting it on speakerphone and recording it. Or you could actually say yourself that you set the intent that you speak for this particular client and then say an affirming statement. The spectral voice analysis is the area where you would place an affirming statement. Okay, if you have a client that is returning, you're going to tap on Client Records, and you're actually going to go to that client. So let's just tap on Client Records. Let's scroll down until we find our returning client, who is, of course, Jane Doe. As you can see there, Jane Doe's demographics are there. They have been held into the system. The identifying characteristics are anxiety, sleep, digestion, and anger. And for our purpose today, we are using a photo from our photo library. And we're going to go ahead up here in the right-hand corner, and you will do this whether you take a photo or you use one from the library. If you're taking a photo, you're going to tap the camera down here, and you will take the photo and then tell it scan. If you are taking it from your photo library, if someone has emailed it to you, tap the photo library, go ahead to find the picture, tap the picture, and it will automatically drop it in as this has done, and then you will hit scan. The energy scan is complete. Tap OK, and now tap Done. The spectral voice analysis, again, we're going to move into that. I am going to use my voice today for Jane Doe. In our office, what we actually have is something written up that the client can actually read when they're getting ready to do the spectral voice analysis. And this is very helpful because the spectral voice analysis is about 10-15 seconds of recording time. So if it is written out, people can read it and they don't have any major issues with not knowing what to say for that 15 seconds. So I'll just demonstrate how we would do that. I tapped the spectral voice, and now I will tap record. A-E-I-O-U, I am in complete alignment with God, and everything is working out for me. as you see, it actually ended before I was finished. So we do ask people to speak relatively quickly when they're doing that. But any part of it is fine, because what you just want to do is hear the voice. Okay? So it scans automatically, and now we say, okay. And then we tap the done up in the right-hand corner. As you can see, when you are finished, it will take you back to the client records profile. Also, on this page, we want to draw your attention to these 5 icons across the bottom. These icons have some very, very important information. This first icon is your welcome screen. You'll just tap that, and you have a lot of information that we encourage you to take some time to read. When you're finished reading this, there are a couple of videos up here that you can take a look at. And when you're finished, you can tap back. It takes you directly back. This is your hardware accessories. So in other words, this is an area that would tell you what hardware accessories that you have going with your system or your device at that time. This is a reading list. This is very, very important for people that are wanting to know more about the quantum biofeedback and how these types of things work. Gives you some great books that you can read and learn as much as you possibly can about what you're doing, and we always recommend that. This is a glossary. This is very important. This helps you with the terms that you're going to see in your device. Here's the word algorithm that we used a few moments ago. Here's some other information, and as you can see, there is a plethora of it. You can read through it. We certainly encourage you to do that. And again, it just helps you to know what your device is actually doing and what some of these profiles and programs are about. And this is your question mark. I strongly recommend that you use this on every single page. You will see that the question mark exists on every single page that we go through. Please take the time to click on that and read about that particular profile. A lot of good information. Okay, we have done everything here that we need to do on this screen, and now we're going to go ahead and tap Start. You will see that this screen pops up and says, would you like to add a personalized energetic signature using text? This is the only time that you will have this option. If you choose yes, and that's what we're going to do right now, you will see a small box come up and your typing pad that allows you to put in an affirming statement, or you can put in words like love, joy, health. And what you're going to do is you are going to separate them by double spacing between each word. So what I would like to do, and what I normally do, is I would type in something like everything is always working out for me. That's just an affirmation that I like. And so I can use that when I'm working on myself. If I have clients, I ask them if there is something particular that they would like to affirm. If people are quick to let you know what they'd like to affirm, that's wonderful. Otherwise, you might suggest some things to them. Again, this is a place for affirming. What happens is the device will now, once again, using the science of hololinguistics, will actually take that vibration, create a vibrational frequency based on this particular sentence, and it will be playing in the background the entire time that you are working with this client. So this is really a great place to put in some good affirming statements. Just tap OK, and OK again, telling you that the energetic signature is added. Very good. Let's go ahead and scan right now, and then we'll talk about the things on the other areas of this screen. As you see, the iLife Infinity app has a lot of great information. The manufacturers have really tried to help you as a practitioner learn about your device and give you great little perks all along the way of information. So this is telling us that the higher the number, 650 and above, the higher the probability of disturbance or stress. You would drag the selected items for balancing into the Balance RX or Multi-Layer RX tray. Select desired time and start. Balance RX versus Multi-Layer Tray RX, see the help section. Excellent. It encourages you to drop right down here and find out more about that. Today we're just going to say okay to that. As you can see, it has scanned Jane Doe, and what it has done is populated with a value every one of these 15 areas. As our little informational window told us, things that are over 650 are telling us that there is stress in that particular area of the profile that we are seeing here. This is 763. There's some stress in phobias. Spinal energy is at 687. That is, both of these are over 650. Body systems is at 593. I'm happy that this turned out this way because it helps you to see what I'm going to tell you next. That when people see the 3 items that are highlighted, they automatically assume that those are really bad. I hear that term all the time. Oh, these must be really bad areas. No, the system number 1 has a default mechanism that will highlight the top 3 values. So sometimes those top 3 values are not even over 650. So you may say, well, what do I do? Well, what I would suggest to you is I want you to not only look at items over 650, but those under 150. Emotional, 132. Sacred geometry, 17. These are also areas of stress that is taking place with this particular client. I submit to you that these are areas of chronic stress imbalance. Okay? So when you see things over 650, wonderful. It's telling you that there's some acute stress patterns in that profile that are driving that number up. If you don't happen to see that one of the top numbers is over 650, that's all right. It is still certainly appropriate to go into different areas and be able to do some work. You can always do work in sacred geometry or solfeggio tones. You could do work in the meridians. That would always be very appropriate. And certainly always in the emotional and chakra fields. Body systems at 593 today, that would certainly be appropriate as well. There is no inappropriate screen for balancing. So in other words, if you go in and you're looking really balanced or your client is looking very balanced, you don't have anything extremely low below 150 or anything extremely high over 650, wonderful. It is always great when you have clients or yourself that is getting better and better and better. Less stress means that your body is working more efficiently. Okay, let's take a look at the balance opportunities in the Infinity. There are 2 balancing trays on each screen. The top one is the Balance RX. Here is the timer for that one. You just take your finger and you can move it up and down and create whatever time amount you want. Here is the button to start that and to stop that if you need to. On the bottom is the Multi-Layer RX. Here is the timer for that tray, and here is the start button. Okay? It is from these 2 areas that you are actually sending a signal to the body to trigger the body's own healing mechanisms to initiate. This is really the most important part of your Infinity app. To use the balancing aspect of your Infinity app, you will place and hold your finger on the item that you wish to balance. Drag it into either the Balance RX or the Multi-Layer RX. And you can repeat this process as many times as you want. In other words, you can put several items in either one of those trays or in both of those trays. And we're going to talk about how we do that in just a few minutes. The difference between the trays, The Balance RX I use for a more focused balancing within the profile panel that you are working in. In other words, in this particular panel, I might move the phobias up, I might move meridians up to do a very focused balancing from the Balance RX. These items, however, if I go to another profile, will disappear from the Balance RX. This is only used in the profile or the panel that you are actually working in. The multi-layer RX is used to create exactly that, a multi-layered session based on items from several panels. In other words, you may place an item from one profile and go to another profile and also add items from that panel. The items in the multi-layer RX remain in the tray until you remove them. This is a great way to create a layered session. Set your timer for 16 minutes, ask the client to relax, listen to a meditation, and breathe. You can leave the room and return after the 16 minutes are up. Both trays have a timer bar, as I said, that allows you to choose from 1 to 16 minutes. At the end of the balancing time chosen, the system populates 3 values. Let's take a look at those. The top one is alignment. This number expresses the body's ability to align and adjust with the signal being given. Harmony. This is the level of congruity of the body and the organs in relationship to the signal that you just gave. Energy flow. This indicates how well the energy is actually moving in the body. And it's kind of important to make sure that your client has had enough water to drink and that they're hydrated, because that creates for the electrolyte balance, which allows that energy flow to move a lot more efficiently throughout the body. When you have done the balancing time and these numbers are populated, you will also find that there is a number here. And that number is the mean average of the 3 of these values that you will see at the end of your balancing. This is in the Balance RX as well as in the multi-layer area that you will see those numbers. Normally when I am balancing people, I balance 1 to 2 minutes per item. I also put only 3 to 6 items or maybe 7 in either one of these trays. The reason for that is my experience has been that a more focused session takes place with better results when you put less items in either one of these trays. In other words, the body is being sent a very specific signal, and we are able to see how easily the body is using those signals or how well the body is responding. And when we only have a few things in there, it helps us to know that those things are actually, or it's actually helping us to know what the actual results are. If you put an item in either of the multi-layer RX or the Balance RX tray in error, you can remove them easily. I'll just show you how that works. I'm going to just move something up into the Balance RX and something down into the multi-layer. I'm going to now tap on the word meridians, and you can see it opens up. So if there were several things in here, we'd be able to see all of it. But for our purposes right now, we're just going to remove meridians by moving it out of the panel with your finger. You can do the same with phobias. It is now opened up. Just scoot it right out there, and you'll see you have emptied the tray. Also, on the DaVinci screen, you will see 2 other items, the MEP button and the recheck button. Both of these are part of a recent update. If for some reason you do not have these buttons, go to www.quantum-life.com and download the free trial again. This will update your app. You will not lose your clients, customizations, or activation code. It is a good idea to do this periodically, and remember, the updates are also free with your iLife Infinity app. This is something that sets the iLife Infinity app far and away at the head of the class. Let's take a look at the MEP button. That stands for multi-element phase. This gives us an advanced way to provide balancing for our clients. After reviewing the scan results and choosing the items that you wish to balance, you may place them in the Balance RX and the Multi-Layer RX. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and put meridians up here And let's take this spinal energy and put it down here in the multi-layer RX. We're going to go ahead and set the timer for 1 minute up at the top, and we're also going to set the timer for 1 minute down at the bottom. And we're doing that today because we want to move quickly through this. You could set that timer for as many minutes as you feel is appropriate. Now I'm going to click on the MEP. What you see here now is that we have another timer, and we have actually another button that creates a signaling of the Balance RX and the multi-layer RX tray. What takes place here is that once we tap this button, which I'm going to go ahead and do right now, I'm actually going to move this up to 4 minutes. And what's going to happen is you're going to see that the items in the Balance RX are being balanced for whatever length of time it was that we chose, which we chose 1 minute. And when that is finished, it will automatically toggle and move down and balance whatever we have in the multi-layer RX for whatever time we have set. In other words, it will toggle back and forth between the two trays, doing the time that we have set in those trays, and it will do it for the length of time that we have actually set on this timer. What's really awesome about doing that is that it helps to break up stagnant energy. It allows the body to be more flexible and adaptive during the balancing. This is really a wonderful aspect that has been added to your iLife Infinity app and has become a very useful part of the balancing. As you can see, when it ends up here on the 1 minute, it does give us all of the values that we are used to seeing. It gives us the alignment, the harmony, the energy flow, and again, the mean average number is 47%. So it's telling us that that is the amount of balance that the body was able to absorb and begin to initiate its own mechanisms to bring about a stress reduction in these areas, which allows the body to naturally balance itself. So we're going to let this run out, and you'll see here in just a moment that we will also have the alignment, harmony, and energy flow pop up down here. Okay, you can see now that we have an alignment, harmony, and energy flow response for our multi-layer RX, which is where our spinal energy is. And again, we have the mean average rectification number here. And once it finished this, it did pop back up to this balance tray, and it will continue for 4 minutes. So that is how the MEP works. We're going to go ahead and stop that right now by tapping right there. And we're going to go ahead and hide that. The recheck button allows us to see what changes have been accomplished after a particular balancing session. Also, we can see how certain energetic remedies affect specific areas. Here's how that would look. Actually, on the recheck, I'm going to go ahead and tap recheck. And you can see it's opened up several areas here. Again, the same Da Vinci screen, but the numbers have been removed. But there are areas. If we want to see how the meridians have been impacted, we're just going to tap right here. And let's tap also our spinal energy. Now, the system is going to be able to recheck these two items when we tap scan. But first, we must input the name of the item that we want to recheck. I did that on purpose. So we are wanting to recheck meridians and spinal flow or spinal energy. You'll see that it comes up, and it asks us if we have an imprinter attached, or actually at this point it's asking, do we want to use the imprinter or hololinguistics? So in other words, if we had a remedy that we had on the imprinter plate right now, we would tap imprinter, and it would allow the vibration from that remedy to be brought into the system and scanned against these two areas. However, we are using hololinguistics, which means that we're using the vibration of the words. So we're just going to tap hololinguistics. It's going to tell us that our imprinter is not connected, and that is true. Okay, we can see now that what has taken place here is that this green number is now the value for our meridians, and the green number is now the value for our spinal energy. So it gives you a little bit of information about how easily you've been able to affect those particular two places. Okay, I'm just going to hit clear there, and I'm going to hit recheck again. And I'm going to go ahead and take this information out of here. And I'm going to go to, let's say we want to check the phobias, or we want to see if a particular Bach flower remedy, would have an impact on the phobias. So I'm going to say rescue remedy. Okay, that's loaded in now. It's going to say to us when we hit scan, is it the imprinter or hololinguistics? It is hololinguistics. And I do not have the imprinter connected. So this is telling us that the phobias, it shows us the impact that rescue remedy would have on the phobias. Now, I did not write down what the phobia number was prior to our session, but this number is 676. So let's go ahead and clear this, and we can look to see what that stress value was prior to asking the body if rescue remedy would have an impact on it. That's what we've actually done. We have asked the body, would rescue remedy change the stress value for phobias? So remember now that it's at 676, and let's go back. We'll hit clear, and we'll go back, and we can see that phobias are 667. So actually, rescue remedy would not be the item that we would choose, because it actually increased the amount of stress in that particular area of the body of phobias. But that is how the recheck would work. You can check different remedies against different areas of the body, or once you have done a balancing session, you can recheck to see how it has changed or impacted the stress value in the different areas. And I want you to remember again, please remember there is a question mark at the bottom of each and every panel. You want to take a look at that and be able to move through that. Also, up here on the top, we have two other little buttons that we're just going to take a very brief look at. We're going to tap the gear button. That comes up with some settings that allow us to choose what type of wave pattern we would like. We have the soliton wave, which is our default wave, or a harmonic wave. It also allows us to change the intensity of those wave patterns. This is something that I would not necessarily recommend that you do automatically, just changing the intensity. Work with your device, see how quickly and easily you begin to get some changes before you would necessarily go in and change the intensity of the signal being sent. The scan volume turns down the volume of the tone that you're hearing during the scanning. The modern splash, you can turn this off by toggling this switch here. And the modern splash is on the front screen when you first come into your iLife Infinity app, you see that smoke rising there. If you don't like that and you don't want to see that anymore, you can turn it off in this particular panel. Okay, let's tap back. Now we're going to tap this button right here. This allows you to send a copy of this particular screen that we're on to Facebook or Twitter, or to print it. Personally, I've never sent anything to Facebook or Twitter, and I don't necessarily recommend that, but you can do that if you wanted to. The thing I do use is Report Page. As you can see, everything that is on the Da Vinci screen and the values is now in a report. This is great. You can come up here to the upper right-hand corner and you can send an email to your client so that they have a copy of this. I use this a lot when I'm doing the aura. I like to send a copy of that. Sometimes I will do this with sensitivities and things like that. So this is another aspect that the iLife Infinity app has for us, and I do use this quite often. Okay, now we're going to take a look at each one of these profiles very, very quickly here. And what I want you to know is that each one of these 15, when we tap on it, it's going to open up. And when we go from each screen and we want to come back to the Da Vinci screen, this is the button that you will be pushing. So let's just take a look at what the Aura screen looks like. Again, some information for us. And you can actually scan the Aura here, and you can email it directly from this particular screen. This is a very nice part of the iLife Infinity, and my clients tend to really appreciate this. And you can do the Aura scan several times. In other words, you can go and run some balancing sessions, and then you can come back and see how that has impacted the energy of the Aura. So again, tapping this button, it takes us back to the Da Vinci. We're tapping the body system organs, or body organ systems, and you can see we have several areas within this particular profile panel. And again, you would have the numbers or the values would be over 650 and under 150. And when you see what comes up here, you can use the Balance RX, the Multi-Layer RX, or you can use both and add your multi-element phase. Chakra balancing. This is another page that I often will take a picture of and send to my clients or let them take it home with them. This works exactly the same way. You can balance both trays and then use your MEP or balance individually. Emotional. This is a huge panel. The emotional panel gives us explicit and implicit values. The explicit are positive numbers. The implicit are negative numbers. In other words, the difference here is explicit are things that the people are aware of, emotions that they are aware of and may be acting upon. The implicit are emotions that are in the unconscious and that are also being acted upon, but the client may not be aware of them, or most likely would not be aware of them. And so the values here that are appropriate for balancing, this is 0 to 100 on the values. The explicit will be positive, the implicit will be negative. And so when we have 0 to 100, the balance is 50. So I say things below 40 and things over 60, giving us about a 20-point system there to allow. In other words, I say that balance is anywhere from 40 to 60. And I do balance things that are less than 40 greatly and greatly over 60. And I do that with both the negative and the positive numbers. I do a lot of work in the emotional panels, and I use this quite often with some very good results. Injuries. This is another panel that I use quite often. We have a lot of people here in Southwest Florida that are athletes and athletic, and so I do use this quite often, and again, with some very, very good results for my clients. Meridians. This is a very interesting panel, and it has a lot going on here. I'm going to go ahead and run a scan for you so that we can talk about some of the different things that are going on here. Okay. It also has some information that will pop up, and this is something that we encourage you to read because it gives you some very interesting information regarding the time of day that these particular organs are at peak performance or in restoration, and it also tells us the emotions attached to those particular areas or those particular organs. Also, you see here that we have several I's, the letter I, and it goes all the way down. It's next to each and every one of the meridians, and this is what you're going to do with that. Like the liver is 735. Okay, let's just tap on that little I. Look at what it does. It brings up the liver meridian or the liver channel, and then it brings up all of the acupuncture points along that channel. This is a very in-depth profile for our device, and I use it all the time, and I love it. And again, read all your little informational windows that pop up. Now, I want you to see that next to liver 7, which is at 719, so it's appropriate for balancing, there is an I. Let's tap that I. Guess what? That particular acupuncture point has an impact on reducing stress in the knees or reducing the stress of knee pain. So as you go along, you might want to just take a look at each one of these that require any kind of balancing and be able to see what types of things that this particular acupuncture point has an impact on. You can always just bring this up a little bit larger so that you can actually see where the points are on the body, and you can be able to take a look at that. Sometimes your clients will come in and say, you know what, I'm having a lot of pain or a lot of discomfort in the top of my foot. Look where that liver channel runs to. Sometimes they're telling you lots of information without even knowing it. Okay, we're going to tap the back button. I encourage you to go through your meridian screen and really take a look at that. I enjoy using the multi-element phase here. I will put the meridian up in the Balance RX, and maybe I will put then the points down in the multi-layer and kind of go back and forth and just give an overall balancing and a specific balancing to those acupuncture points. Nutriopathy. Beautiful. Wonderful. This panel has within it the ability to scan your body for stress in relationship to vitamins, minerals, amino acids, neurotransmitters, and homeopathics. Also other things like enzymes, funguses, things like that. And it's a wonderful panel to work in as well. It helps to just support the body and trigger the body again to begin to balance itself in relationship to these different items. Phobias we have already seen. Risks, let's take a look there. This panel is very self-explanatory, as all of the panels, and the numbers here are the 650 and over or below 150. This is a place where it is certainly a good idea to check this out and do some balancing for your client. And again, you can see that there are several items here once you have done the scan. So it's a very good panel to take a look at every single time. Sacred geometry. This is a panel that I'm going to encourage you to tap your question mark. As you can see, there's going to be information about sacred geometry. It is a very old and ancient tool that we use, and so having it in our iLife Infinity app is a real bonus. Sensitivities. This page is really, really a huge page as well. And this gives you an idea what the client is stressing about when it comes to sensitivities, things like environmental toxins, pollutants, food issues, different smells and trees and pollens and things like that. Things that the body is having a stress response to. This is a panel that you might want to print out for your client and just let them know that their body is showing a slight or a strong stress response to these particular items. And that way that client can make the decision if they want to continue eating those things or being exposed to those things, or if they choose that they would like to try to alleviate some of that stress by maybe not eating that or not being exposed to certain pollutants. Remember, you are not a doctor and you are not diagnosing them. Solfeggio tones. The solfeggios are ancient tones of Hertz frequencies that have been found as far back as the Egyptian tombs. What they were able to ascertain was that by striking their tuning forks or objects that created these particular frequencies, that they were able to alleviate certain issues. As you can see there, 396 is for liberating guilt and fear. That's pretty amazing. This one is for undoing situations and facilitating change. You can read through these yourself, but I again encourage you to tap your question mark and to use your solfeggio tones. They're a very big bonus in your iLife Infinity app. Spinal energy. I love the spinal energy profile. I love them all, but I love the spinal energy profile as well because it allows us to release some of the stress and strain that are around the muscles that wrap around those vertebrae. So when you see that C1 has a lot of stress, you can actually send a signal there to help relax that area of the body. You could also do some muscular things helping it to release stress as well. I send this, once I have done a scan, oftentimes I will send this report to my clients' chiropractors. And they're always wowed by the fact of how spot on this stress scan is to what they're finding with their clients. It also helps to be a teaching moment with clients how important the spine is. Spiritual. This is another area where you will want to look at your question mark and look through some of these different items. This is a panel that I use quite often in helping people move through certain things, and I will come in here and work in this panel specifically for things like cutting the cord and embracing the light and things like that, and helping people to be grounded. So these are all homeopathic frequencies. There's nothing funny going on here or suspect. These are all based on homeopathic frequencies, and so these are all vibrational situations that we're finding here. Finally, we go to toxicity and stress. This panel allows you to scan your client for stress responses to these types of toxicities. I use this panel a lot. And again, I must say that we have very good results with helping clients who are going through and detoxifying themselves from certain things. So these are your profiles. We're going to tap this once more. And we are also going to go to the brainwave profile, which the only place to access that is through this little picture icon here of the brain. It's going to tell us that our headgear is not attached, which it is not today, but you can go to www.quantum-life.com and you can take a look at the accessory. It is called Think Gear, and it actually fits on. It's a headset and has a metal sensor that you place against the forehead, and you can have the client wear that while you're actually doing this scan. I use this I use this particular profile as well. It helps with people that are having a lot of anxiety, or maybe people that are having sleep issues and things like that. If there's a lot of stress around the delta wave or the theta wave, or if people are really stressed out, you'll find that the alpha wave is really out of balance. So it is a good panel to use. You can use it without the accessory. The accessory just takes it a little bit deeper. So the only major thing I want to say here is you balance one wave at a time. One wave at a time. And if they are very close to being balanced, I do not mess with them. I let it be then. But that is just my experience. I'm just scanning this now so that you can see how each one of them, again, will come up with a value. And it's telling us that this person currently might be having a little bit of stress because their alpha waves are both out of balance. So it would be certainly appropriate to balance those. But again, one at a time. Okay. Another area that we have on the Da Vinci screen that you can access is this little area right down here that you probably missed. You can just tap your finger in there and it's going to open up your keypad. And this is an area where you have the opportunity to test certain remedies. You can test certain foods. You could test possibly a nutrient if you are licensed to test different things like this. In other words, if you're selling a nutrient to somebody, we have some nutritionists who use this, and they are able to come in down here and type in something like, let's say, B12. You can see now B12 is in this area, and now we're going to tap on this. And what it does is it brings up a biocompatibility test with 4 quadrants. It's going to show us what the impact of B12 would be on our etheric body, our mind, our physical body, and our spirit. You want most of this, you want it to be green, is what you want. When it comes out to the red, it's not necessarily telling us that it's bad for us, it's just telling us that it does not have a positive impact on our body in that particular quadrant. Let's go ahead and tap the scan so that you can see this. Okay, B12 currently for this client would not have a huge impact on the mind nor the body. It would have an impact on the etheric body, and it would have an impact on the spirit body. This is interesting. I'm not really going to get into explaining to you why I think that would be, but when you look at this, what I am saying to you is that if you're wanting to take B12 to increase the body and help the body to feel better, B12 might not be what you're needing for the body, because you can see we're getting down here into the red. And it may not be what you need for the mind. It does not resonate well with the mind and the body. However, it does resonate very well with the etheric body and the spirit body. You can put things in this list, as I said, remedies and different things. You can also type in books that you may be wanting to read or classes that you may be wanting to take. You can type anything in there and it will hololinguistically take the vibration and it will run that scan against that vibration and tell you how well you resonate on those different quadrants with that particular vibration. So that's a really nice aspect of your iLife Infinity app as well. I know I say that a lot, but I do love it. Okay, what we're going to do here is we have 2 more areas that we want to just take a look at very, very quickly. And I'm going to go to Body Systems, and I'm going to go ahead and run a scan there. Okay, we can see we have some digestive, some endocrine, and some reproductive areas that are having some stress. We can also see that the skin and the circulatory areas are also experiencing some chronic ongoing stress. Okay, everybody has probably done this at one time or another. I'm going to just tap digestive. The cross analysis comes up. This is a powerful part of your Infinity app. The cross analysis is a list of 1,483 items that will help practitioners take a deeper look at the stressors regarding specific areas. You can identify additional stressors like fungus, parasites, emotions, bacteria, viruses, etc., and also be able to find some energetic vibrations or remedies like Bach flowers, young living oils, and homeopathics. So in other words, you can test them against the digestive system. Let's say, for instance, we wanted to find if there are any emotions that are impacting the digestive system. You can see that it says emotions all. I'm just going to tap that. It has now loaded all of the emotions that we have in the cross analysis file. And we can now check by tapping check to see if any of those are having a stress impact on the digestive system. You'll see now they are in alphabetical order, but when it is done scanning, it will go into the order that the body sees them. The numbers here, the value is 0 to 20,000. Items that are well over 15,000 certainly are very acute and would be certainly recommended for balancing. Items that are extremely low, I also tend to feel have an impact. And I also tend to believe that the items that are at the bottom are the things that are most chronic. So the digestion is being impacted by frustration, shyness, remorse, despair, possibly. And so what you can do is you can put your finger on that, draw it right up there, drop it, and allow a balancing of that frustration. Okay, I'm going to just tap the close button, and I'm going to go back, tap digestion again, and just tell you again that whatever you'd like to look at here, you can look up parasites to see if there is any impact of parasites. You can look up specific parasites. You can look up the entire list, actually, was what I was wanting here. There's parasites all. Now it has loaded the entire list. And you can do the same thing. You can check. You can also type in things like bacteria. Go to bacteria all, and now you'll see that all the bacterias have been loaded in there. So all of these things would be tested against the digestive system, and you can see what areas may be causing stress. Remember, you are not diagnosing. You are actually helping to alleviate stress in the body to certain vibrations. You can also put things in here to look for remedies. You can begin to look for homeopathics. Whoops, didn't want to load that. So let's just close out of that, tap it again, and put in homeopathics. There you go. You would also hit the check button, run the scan, and then you would be able to offer a vibrational remedy through the Balance RX or the Multi-Layer RX, or you could create both and use your multi-element phase to help reduce the stress in the digestive. Your cross-analysis is a huge, huge program. Again, 1,483 items. That's a very exhaustive list. Okay, let's go back to this screen. Looks like we got stuck up here. There we go. Okay, on this screen, we have this little spiral here. We're going to tap that. This is your customize area, and it also has your Nozier frequencies. According to the late French neurologist, Dr. Paul Nozier, imbalance in the body can result when cells or molecules or particles of matter are out of their normal resonance or vibratory pattern. By repeatedly exposing damaged tissue to the normal resonant frequencies associated with that tissue, balancing and stress reduction can occur, sometimes quite rapidly. So this Nozier's, these are a very, very interesting group of vibrations. Again, use your question mark. Now, on to the customization. This will come up only in this panel. Do you want to add new items? Today, we're going to say cancel, but if you are making a customized panel, you would say okay. What I want to show to you, and this is just a navigational basic, is how we can make lists. We're going to tap Show Category Lists. It comes up with our list of all of our clients because our actual list categories are in here as well. So I'm coming right down here and I'm tapping List Category. These are customized lists that we have been able to place in our Infinity device. As you can see, we have stress panels, we have migraine panels, we have heart chakra panels, we have fatigue panels, essential oils for depression. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap on that right now, essential oils for depression. And I'm going to come over to this little eye, and I'm going to tap that, and it will allow you to see all of the items that I have in this particular customized list. If I wanted to add something, I would come up here and I would tap the plus button. It would open up a window and I could type in here whatever the item was that I wanted to add to this list. I would then, if I do not have the importer, or the imprinter, I'm sorry, if I do not have the imprinter, in other words, where I am actually sitting the actual product on the imprinter and taking the vibration that way, I am doing it hololinguistically. So I could type in whatever I wanted here, and I would place in this area, which is for Hertz frequencies, I would type in 001, 001, 001, 001, 001. Then I would hit import. It would scan it, and then it would change the vibrational frequency patterning that I placed in here. It's using the binary code. And once it does that, I would say OK, and then it would place the item in my list. It's just that quick. I'm going to say done, and I'm going to say cancel to that. I'm going to tap back. You can see that this is highlighted. So I'm going to leave that highlighted, but if I wanted to add another list, I would just tap the plus, and it allows me to add a new category. So I could make a category for dental issues, dental depression, disc pain, whatever I wanted. Now, you need to be careful that you are adding categories that you are able to use that are all based on stress management. If you are a licensed practitioner, if you are a licensed nutritionist, if you are a licensed medical doctor or naturopathic doctor, you certainly can put in actual items in your categories for nutritions or for remedies that you will be selling to your client. But if you are a biofeedback person only, you are not allowed to recommend or suggest or prescribe any type of nutrient or remedy for your clients to take. So we just want to always make sure that we are doing due diligence and letting you know that this device does not make you a doctor. Okay, so you can see how easy it would be to add a new category, and once you add that category, it would show up in this list. You would highlight it and then highlight the I, and it would open up the list, which would be empty to begin with, and then you could begin adding items to it. So I'm going to go ahead and say cancel to that. I have this, as you can see, highlighted, as I said. I'm going to tap back in the upper left-hand corner. I'm going to tap back once again, and you can see that it is now in my customized panel, all of those essential oils. Now, I can scan those essential oils, and then I can actually, once again, take the essential oils that are over 650 or well under 650, well under 150, I'm sorry, and begin to move them into the balance RX. We don't have any majors over 650, so we have Awaken here at 58. I can put it up there. I can also move them around and do a multi-layer. You do this with all of your lists. One of the things that I want to show you is that right now we are only scanning for stress in reference to depression. In order to remove that from your panel, and it's very important, you're going to tap the Show Category List again. you're going to come down. You've got list category highlighted. Go back in there. Unhighlight that by tapping it. Go back. Back again, and you'll see it's been removed. So in other words, you may want to test several of your customized category lists. However, my recommendation is that you remove the prior one before you test again, because you're actually diluting your test if you don't. So in other words, if I left oils, essential oils up there, and then I went in to actually scan my customized list for stress responses, if I was to do that, it would scan again the essential oils. If it does that, it's just diluting my body's or my client's body's response to the stress panel. So you want to do the clearing of each category list before you go in and do another one. Okay, we're going to tap the back button. And now you find us again at the DaVinci screen. We've talked about everything on the device, and we encourage you to go to www.training.quantum-life.com. We'll show you that page at the end. And be sure to look up all of the educators that are there. You can go to any one of our websites, and you can learn about us and what we offer. Again, we offer training from the very initial and basic foundational understandings of quantum biofeedback and your device, all the way to very advanced education provided by naturopathic doctors and other doctors in different fields who are actually using the device in their practices. We encourage you to please go and take a look at the education. Quantum Life is very much about making sure that their people have the opportunity to have as much education as they would like. We also offer education taking you all the way through certification through a national board in the U.S., North America, all of North America, and Europe. So if you're interested in things like that, please go again to that website and take a look. Okay, to end our sessions today, what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the house. The house asks us, are we sure, basically, do we want to move forward? And it's telling us that we will lose our client test results. Yes, we do. So we're going to proceed with OK. You will maintain the demographics of your client, but you will lose the test scores for this particular session. That's okay, because your client is changing all the time. And you do have the report page if you want to try to keep up on that. Okay, remember, once again, to go through all these little icons and take a good look at them.